Whatever this is, we've got it. You're listening to the Bearded Theologians Beardcast, hosted by Zach Bechtold and Matt Franks. If you'd like to find out more about the Bearded Theologians, you can go online at www.beardedtheologians.com. And we're live. This is the Bearded Theologians Beardcast for May the 27th. I know it's the 28th, but we're saying it's the 27th because we're running a little bit behind this week. I'm Matt Franks.
I'm Zach Bechtold, and I travel back in time.
And this week, we're going to talk about our summer schedules a little bit. So, Zach, what are you doing this summer?
So this summer's chock full of all kinds of things. Next week, we head off to annual conference. Matter of fact, before annual conference, I have a retreat for some continued ed things I'm doing Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday afternoon. And then annual conference starts Thursday morning and heads all the way to Saturday. So, the next week, next 8 days are pretty crazy, hanging out with a bunch of pastors and lay people, talking about the future of the New Mexico Conference, which is always fun. Then Zoe and Noah and I head off to church camp the following weekend, which would be fun because it's the first time I've got to go to church camp really ever and be a dad and not have to be pastor or leader of the camp or anything crazy like that. I get to go and be a dad, so I'm really looking forward to that. And right after that, when we get back from that, we're going to ship the kids off to the grandparents for a week or so, and we're going to move. We're going to finish packing all our boxes and packing all their stuff and throw it in a check and head towards Alamogordo, New Mexico. And then after that, we're pretty well set for the summer, getting settled into the new home and the new digs and the new jobs. So that's kind of where we are this summer. What about you, Matt?
Next week, actually on Monday, I'll head down for our annual conference. Our annual conference goes from Monday afternoon until Thursday morning, and we'll get to do annual conference things. This will be the first year where the Young Adult Report doesn't happen, and so I don't have as much responsibility as I normally do, but I'm kind of looking forward to getting to spend time with colleagues and friends that I've made over the years of going to annual conference. And then I have about 2 weeks of being in the office and getting ready for camp. And then I have 2 weeks of camp. The first week of camp will be our district camp, where I'm a sponsor and I get to hang out with the kids and kind of be a small group leader and be a person in the trenches. And then the following week, actually like 3 hours after we finish that camp, I'll start a whole other camp where I'm the dean and the worship pastor. And I love doing that camp. I've been doing this one for almost 8 years. And it's amazing to see how much we've grown together as a staff and the staff that we've put together and the kind of the relationships that we've built over the years. This is the first year that we actually have a kid who started with us as a camper coming back and serving as an LIT. So that's going to be kind of a cool experience to see what his experience will be, having experienced it as a sixth grader and then as a sponsor. I'm kind of excited to hear what his reflection will be on that. And then after that, actually, I'll get back on the 1st of July. And then we'll have a big birthday party for America and myself on the 4th. And then I've got about a 3-day little retreat that I do for young adults of our annual conference on the 24th through the 26th. And it's something I look forward to every year and have been kind of the guiding hand of that. And I'm kind of excited about that. And then I end my summer getting to spend several days with Zach as we go to Houston for our World Methodist Conference. And that's pretty much my summer in a nutshell. This is probably my most tame summer in a long time because we're not moving and I don't have a ton of camps like back to back. I'm going to get to be able to be home a little bit more than I normally am. And I'm looking forward to some of the opportunities of having a more relaxed summer than in years past. So Zach, as you think about your summer and as you think about your move, what are some things that you kind of anticipate in your spiritual life that will be difficult for you to handle?
Well, anytime that you have a transition or you have change, at least for me, it brings a time for reflection, not only for me internally, but for me as a husband and father and as a pastor. I look back on all of those things, at least for the last couple of years. How did I do? Did I pay enough attention to my family? Did I spend the time and be with them as much as I could. And did we have a good time? At work, did we get to accomplish the things that we set out to do? Yes or no? And how could they have gone differently if we didn't? And then how do I bring those experiences into the new church, into the new transition of life, into our new home? How do I pick up and be a better husband and father, and maybe not miss out, and maybe do better on some things? And in the same way, how do I come in and pastor the church just a little bit better and take what I've learned into that? So really, it's just a time of reflection and going through boxes and pictures and getting to share memories with Michael and the kids as we pack up the house and move forward.
As I was thinking about what you had said, I've been in your situation several times, moving as a clergy person, and the thing I would encourage anybody that's going through any kind of big life change, which this really is, anytime you move or anytime you make adjustments in your life, you have to kind of ask yourself. I think if you ask yourself those questions, did I do well, and where did I do well? How did I do well? What can I improve on for the next time? I think that those are some good things that we can learn to grow from. I think when we don't choose to look at those things, like how can I grow as a person, whether that be a pastor, a father, or whatever it is, I think that that's where we get into trouble. When we refuse to self-reflect, I think we find ourselves in a kind of a rut. And I think that self-reflection and that sort of thing is important. And I can't encourage you enough that as you're going through that process of separating from your old church while then moving into a new church with a whole new setting of all new experiences, to kind of really hold in attention, what are some things you want to bring with you, and what are some things that you're just dusting your feet off and saying, that I had a good run at that and I'm done. And so, I think that that's a good question for all of us to reflect on as we grow older and as we transition in life from one stage to the next, is to kind of really reflect and see what went well and what didn't go well. And I think that that's why the important question that John Wesley would always ask his Methodist groups was, how is it with your soul? I think that that's such a great question for people to reflect on, not only on kind of a worldly basis of what's going on in the past, but an everyday experience to kind of keep yourself centered and your soul centered. And I think that that's so important in your daily walk of faith, because if you're not keeping yourself in check, then you'll find yourself stuck in a rut.
So I have to ask a question. You brought it up. How is it with your soul?
Well, I have to admit, my soul is great. We're kind of in a transition period. We had a rough calendar year since last June. I've had a kind of just some extreme loss in my life. Losing my grandfather and then losing my mother this year has been really rough on me. But it's been amazing that how much I think the thing for me is, and the thing that I've been really hanging my hat on, is how deep my faith is. And even in the midst of those darkest times of struggling with those losses, I was able to hang on to my faith and lean onto my faith more than anything, to get me through what I needed to get through, and to really press on towards the light. And now we're in that place of having to go through my parents' house and kind of figure out what we're going to keep and what needs to go, and what are some things that we can let go of that we no longer need anymore. And that's been a kind of a struggle. Like yesterday we were cleaning, and I came across some information that I didn't know existed about me when I was in elementary school. And it was kind of painful to read, but there was also some light in it as well, because I got to read my parents' response to the school when the school was wanting to hold me back for another year, and my parents refused because they knew how intelligent I could be, and that there was just some things that weren't happening in the school system. And when I read that letter, because I'd never seen that letter, actually that letter was still sealed, and I unsealed it, and there was some kind of it was kind of torn, but it was because it kind of brought up some bad memories. We all have those bad memories as a kid, and when they come up, it's how we deal with them that matters. And but then reading what my dad had written back to the principal, that was kind of it was life giving and it was life affirming. And after kind of going through all that stuff, seeing some of those pictures of my mom and some pictures I never had seen before, and even pictures of us that brought back some memories. Sometimes that's painful, but it's also remembering those great moments and saying, that was just an awesome time, or, that wasn't a great time, but, we made it through together as a family and with our faith. And so, Zach, as you're getting ready for your transitions and all that you've got going on in your life, how is it with your soul?
It's tired right now. It's been a rough 2016 for us as well. The most recent thing, Noah had his appendix out this week, and man, it's tough when a little 6-year-old sitting in the hospital bed and he's hurting, and he can't do much for him. But man, he made it through. He was a champ this week. It was fun. It wasn't fun being in the hospital. It was fun seeing how strong he is, and it's it's a big faith thing to see how strong he was, and at times how he and myself and my wife were in it, but he held strong the whole time. It was really neat to see. It was unfortunate that it happened, but he's doing well. We've had some significant loss this year. My uncle passed away back in February, pretty unexpectedly, and those two things coupled on with our move and just the transition out of a church that we really enjoy doing ministry into something new, into the next step, into the next process. And it's been a tiring year. But like you said, it's one of those things where when we sit and we reflect back on, it's faith that's gotten us through it. It's being able to lean on that hope that Christ gives us that helps us move forward. Maybe not knowing what's going to happen, sitting and waiting to hear a diagnosis on my son, getting a phone call from my dad about my uncle. It's faith that keeps us strong. It gives us hope through all of those things and what's going to come in 2016 and on through all of these transitions and just really tough days sometimes. And so, yeah, soul's a little tired right now, but got a lot of hope through that faith that we rest on in Christ.
And I think that's something that would encourage our listeners to think about is to ask yourself, how is it with your soul, and wrestle with that. And it's okay to wrestle with it. And if you don't know the answer, it's not that you have to have an answer. It's just that it's calling you to look deeper and to look back into your life and realize where God was and where maybe you weren't with God. And I think that's something important to ask yourself, when those situations arise again, how are you going to respond? And I think that's what helps us win our faith is that life is a journey. It's not something that, we're never going to have one experience like that ever again, but we're going to have similar experiences. And, I think Zach and I are both going to be part of a World Methodist Conference in September. And I know I'm a little bit nervous just because of, some of the things that came out of General Conference. And then I've learned that when one or two Methodists get together, interesting things are going to happen. And I'm intrigued to see what's going to happen, but I'm also a little bit nervous to hear conversations and to have conversations that maybe I don't necessarily want to have, or I'm not at that place yet, or at that place now. And I think that's something, I look forward to those conversations. I look forward to that time. I think that for you as a listener, I would encourage you to seriously spend some time in reflection, but then also don't be afraid to have a little bit of fun. I know even in the midst of all this craziness in 2016, I think I had I had a great year in a sense of just personal things, minus the loss and death and some of the struggles I've had. I still have been able to seek time to, have a vacation with my family, and then a family to bring together two families and see the relationships that brought out. But then also the kind of some of the other things I've gotten to do this past year that have just been so fun. And I would encourage you to think about that and to think about how you can have fun in your life, even in the darkest times. Because I know, like for us, laughter was one of the greatest things that got us through both deaths. We would tell stories about, something Grandpa would have done, or something that my mom would have done or not would have liked, and that brought us hope and laughter. And I think that that's a healing thing. And I know between Zach and I, we were joking about Noah and what was going on with him. And I know that that's how I roll. That's how I handle some of that situation. And, find out how you can healthily deal with those situations, I think is very helpful for you. And
I think the big thing, know that you're not alone. Everybody's going through something right now. My mother-in-law found out she had cancer not too long ago, and has been going through surgeries and trying to find an answer, and had a pretty big surgery the other day. And we were talking to her on the phone yesterday, and said, what's the biggest thing that you've gotten out of all of this? And she said, the love and prayers and just support people have given me. People I don't even know that I've never met have sent me cards, have told me, hey, I've been there with you. I've been there. You're not alone. You're going to be okay. We're praying for you. Those types of things go a long way. So know that you're not alone. Know that if you come to our Facebook page or to Matt or I personally and tell us something or ask us for prayer, know that we're praying for you. Know that our families are praying for you. Know that you're not alone in this. And try to have a little bit of fun. Enjoy yourself. Find things that make you laugh and enjoy maybe the rough times you're going through.
So with that in mind, as we come to a close, we're going to do something, and I'll let Zach talk about this.
Yeah, so it's you heard us talk about annual conference at the beginning of the Beardcast, and for those of you who participate or go to annual conference or know about it, we want to have an annual conference meme contest. And we want you to put them on our Facebook page or tag us in them however you can on social media. Get your annual conference memes, maybe hashtag it Bearded Theologians. But we're going to run a contest from between now and July 1st, and we're going to pick our favorite meme out of the annual conference season, and give away a coffee mug and maybe a glossy headshot of Matt and I. We'll sign it and everything. It'll be fun. We'll have some stuff to give you the best meme competition at the end of June or beginning of July.
So to close, this is Matt Franks
and Zach Bechtold,
and we're the Bearded Theologians, and we hope that you have a great day, and we will see you sometime on the internet.